All right, everybody. Back again. Division 1 rejects. You know, we're chilling in the basement. Got my boy Drew. Got my boy Kobe.
Yep.
Kobe. Let him rest in peace. But we got Kobe Manzo right here. Tell us what we got today.
Rest in peace.
Kobe?
Kobe.
Oh, okay.
Kobe
My bad.
Bean?
My bad. My
Not
bad.
like the top Kobe.
Yeah.
You're not the
you're
top
right.
Kobe.
You're right. You're right. But today on our episode, we've got two great guests that will join us. First is Dave Rayner from Oxford High School, Michigan State, and an NFL kicker who was in the league for 5 years. We'll talk to him in just a few minutes. Great conversation with him today. Fantastic conversation with him today. He coached at Michigan State as well after playing. That conversation will be followed later in the episode by Caleb Smith, a safety who has just recently transferred from South Dakota to play with the Bulldogs at Ferris here in the GLIAC. So a GLIAC guest, a little Division II talk with Caleb later on. And then on the NFL side of things, we'll talk about how Chris Spielman and Barry Sanders are helping in the search for a new GM for the Detroit Lions.
We'll get into that.
Some great news there.
And head coach.
Yes, and head coach as well. So some big-time decisions coming from Detroit, as well as who is leading the Rookie of the Year conversation in the NFL in our eyes, something that we really haven't touched on much this year, so I'm excited to get into that conversation. But on the college side of things, we'll talk about all the upcoming conference championships set for this weekend of college football, as well as their implications on the college football playoff, if any, because the conference championships really don't have as much as they had in recent years.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But after that, to finish things off, we'll be talking about a recap of the National Signing Day that took place yesterday. We're recording this on Thursday, right? So yesterday was the Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
2 days ago when you guys listen to this.
Exactly. So Wednesday, National Signing Day, and what schools picked up some great recruiting classes for the class of 2021? Who came out on top of that? We'll get into it. First of all, though, find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, or if you're watching on YouTube, howdy. But let's get into that conversation with Dave Rayner. Our first guest today, joining us on Division I Rejects, is a man that was drafted in the 6th round of the 2005 NFL Draft, who went on to play in 59 career NFL games over 5 years and score almost 200 points during that career. A Michigan State alum and current wide receiver coach at Oxford High School, alma mater of our man Drew here. It's Coach Dave Rayner. What's going on, Coach?
How you doing, guys?
Fantastic. Super excited to have you on. I know Drew will probably belittle you and make some jokes here, but I think it's safe to say we're all super excited to have you on for a bit.
I appreciate it, man. You got to consider that source, right?
Of course, of course.
Okay, so I'll start off with the first question, Coach Rayner. Understanding, as you've told me before, that you were a soccer player before getting a sudden change in football, did you have any chances to further your soccer career coming out of high school?
I did actually. I had, I played high school soccer obviously at Oxford, and then I played club soccer as well. And I had like 3 or 4 Division I soccer scholarships.
Dang.
Yeah, dude, I was pretty legit. I was actually tossed up between. I went to I had an opportunity to go to the Olympic development, regional, national kind of tryout kind of thing.
You had me at Olympic.
Listen, it was pretty legit. I mean, it was like, Landon Donovan was there. Some of those like guys, names you might know I'm in that same age group, but I ended up going to Michigan State's kicking camp and doing kind of the football thing instead. But I was pretty legit soccer player. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty good, and I had some chances to do it after high school, but I had done soccer for so long, and football was so intriguing to me from a standpoint of what you could do if you had some success, especially as a kicker, that I wanted to kind of give that a shot, and it ended up working out pretty decently for me a little while.
I would definitely say so. And a guy that I don't know exactly what his draft class was, and I'm sure you've heard this name before, Pat McAfee, who's the retired punter from the Colts, who now is this big-time media personality. Huge fan of him.
He's great.
And what he's done, but kind of in that same range of, career-wise in the NFL, he had a super similar transition as you, coming into football. He had the same, scholarships offers from some big-time schools to go play soccer. Now, was he a potential Olympian? I don't think so. So maybe you got that peg up on him. But, very similar, I guess, path. He ended up choosing football and went to West Virginia. But question I have for you is, between punting and kicking, obviously 2 very different crafts in their own right, is it really as easy of a transition into football as everyone seems to believe? I don't think so.
Well, this is the thing. I will say flat out that punting is harder than kicking all day long.
Interesting.
I would say punters. Well, and this is why, man. So, like, you're hitting a moving ball, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Whereas as a kicker, I'm hitting a stationary target, which, don't get me wrong, it's not easy. It can be harder than it looks. I mean, as Drew would tell you, his first kick, I think in practice, went about 6 yards.
Whoa, that was confidential.
That was his, one and done, baby. So listen, punting is a hard thing. To me, the biggest thing going from, obviously in soccer, you've contact, and I was I was 6'2", 200 pounds. I was a bigger guy, but it can't prepare you for like coming across the middle as wide receiver and getting your head knocked off, right?
Yeah.
Like soccer is just not the same mentality of, you're not trying to hurt the guy and knock him to the ground, but in soccer it kind of happens almost as a byproduct, right?
Yeah, I get that.
So that was the biggest thing for me is coming from like soccer, where I was more of a bigger guy and I didn't get pushed around a whole lot. So like, you come across the middle and you put your hands up and some safety comes downhill and knocks your head off. It was like, whoa, okay, all right, welcome to the game, man. And, in Oxford, that was, we passed it once every 4 to 6 games.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't sound like much has changed.
I got hit like twice in 9 games. So I mean, it wasn't that bad of a deal.
Okay, so the next question, going into your college career, obviously Lloyd Carr said no thank you when you sent that letter to him. So what made Michigan State the right decision for you?
Well, to be honest with you, they were going to pay for 4 years of college.
Yep. So
at the end of the day, man, that's a lot of money, and that's a big financial burden I could take off my parents. And the funny thing was, is in the time that I was at Michigan State, I think Michigan went through like 3 kickers.
Really?
And every time I just was like, hey, Lloyd, do you remember that time that I was at your camp and I won the kicking and punting competition? You said, Dave, I appreciate you coming, but I think we're all set at the kicking position. And then you went through half a dozen dudes while I set, records over at Michigan State.
That's awesome.
Which just, that just, it is what it is, right? That's part of college recruiting. But
yeah.
I wouldn't have had it any other way, man. Michigan State, whether
That's
you
good.
like the coaches or not, the school to me was just it felt like home. It felt like family. I love that place to death. My kids are probably going to want to go to Michigan someday, or probably going to get a Michigan scholarship, and we'll have to have that
conversation.
Talk.
But
as of right now, Michigan State was just the right place for me at that time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when you can look back and talk about it like that, that it was definitely the right fit. Hopefully it will be the right fit for their new head coach, Mel Tucker. I want to know what you've seen from him this year and their season. And he's proven, that he's going to have this team competing in some big-time games, one of which was over Michigan, where they got that big-time victory. And then, Michigan proved that they were not that great of a football team, as it turned out. But I want to know what you thought of the new head coach for the Spartans.
Well, listen, it's been a weird year, man. Obviously, like you guys know, I typically, at least for D'Antonio the last 2 years, I will go up for a couple of practices. I kind of get a little beat of what's going on up there. But,
that's good, yeah.
We were not able to be on campus the entire off season. So
yeah.
I was able to, I communicated with guys through text and phone and call and whatever. But to be honest, I have heard nothing but good things about the guy. And I know a lot of times, I'm not one that's going to bad talk him, but I don't know him. But if you can come into a Big Ten university and you can have a season where you're basically teaching football through Zoom calls,
yeah,
and you can take a team out on a field that believes in you and buys in and beats 2, 3 pretty legit football programs.
Yeah.
I think we're in good hands. I think that guy is going to recruit better than any coach in the last 20 years at Michigan State. That's what I think is going to be his biggest thing is when he was with other teams and he was in Alabama and Colorado, his biggest recruiting states were Texas, Florida, and Georgia, which Michigan State had a hard time getting those states. And even Michigan goes in there and Ohio State goes in there. And now we got a guy who could go in and compete and bring some of those big dogs out of there. So I like Michigan State's future, man. I think they're going to be, like I said, I hate Michigan with everything in me, but I love the rivalry and I love the banter and the back and forth. And it's good for the entire state of Michigan when those two programs are listen, let's go beat up on Ohio State. Let's go beat up on Iowa and Wisconsin. But I think Michigan State's in better hands right now than Michigan, to be honest with you.
That's awesome, and it almost seemed like you were gonna. Yeah, that's seriously.
It's
kind of right though.
I would agree,
100%.
but it almost seems like you planned that segue into my next thing I was going to ask you about the recruiting side of the program because of, Tucker is obviously a big time recruiter, and that's what he's known as is his ability to go into those key states: Georgia, Florida, Texas. Probably the three biggest high school football states in our country, which, obviously a ton of big time commits come out of there, but they're rivals in Ann Arbor. You talk about how that rivalry, it's better for the entire state. They always seem to have those 4-star, 5-star commits coming to Michigan. Even this year, we had Donovan Edwards, a kid that we've all played against at West Bloomfield. Number 4
coached against, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Number 4 running back in the country. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Obviously, he goes to Michigan, and coming off of that year, the ability for them to continue to get that pedigree of guys, that level of guys onto campus, I mean, that's something that I think Michigan State has been lacking. They've been known for getting to these 2-star, 3-star guys that are great players in high school.
Turning them into players.
Exactly, developing them into players. Right. So do you see that culture, I guess I don't say culture, but that style kind of changing with the absence of D'Antonio? Excuse me?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't know that much about Mel Tucker. I think I lean more on the side of I'm a blue-collar guy, right? Like I want to come in and I want to work my way into it. Where that's where Michigan State hangs their hat, right? They'll go out and they will beat you with a bunch of guys who didn't go to Michigan because they didn't offer them a scholarship.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, is something that I like. That is in my blood, man. Like, I want to go in and, like, earn it, right? So Michigan, like, you got a bunch of 5-stars. You got beat by Michigan State. You got beat by Indiana. You got beat by all these other teams, which we had the same record, and you had all these stars.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And that's how it has been.
To me, at the end of the day, like I put so little, and even now coaching high school, like there's not that much that I look at when it comes to like the stars that they give you. There's guys that have come in that I'm like, who's that dude?
Yeah.
Like he's a 5-star. And then there's other guys that come in that are a 3-star that you're like, whoa, that dude is legit.
Yeah.
So
I know exactly what you
mean. Or walk-ons that end up winning the Heisman,
Stop,
dude, listen, let me tell you a little story right now. So I have a guy who, when I coached at Michigan State, he walked on and he came to a walk-on tryout as a place kicker. Okay, his name's Tyler Hunt. He was a big kid, but he played high school. He played at where did he play? Little tiny town in Kalamazoo. Anyway, he was a quarterback. He played DB. He punted. He kicked. Whatever. He came in. He was a really good athlete. And I was like, man, this kid could kick. Let's give him a shot. So he literally started at tight end this year at Michigan State for like 3 or 4 games. And dude, he is like built. He's got to be 230. He is a freak athlete.
That's unreal.
And is playing, but dude walked on as a kicker and was a starting tight end. Like the last 2 games of the year.
Awesome. I've never heard of
I think he's a junior.
Like that. That's awesome.
So that's what I'm saying. Like those are the things that I look into is like, dude, if you're in the right place, you can turn into whatever you want to turn into, right? But a lot of times these guys that come in as 5-stars, they almost have less work ethic than the guys that come in that need to earn it, right? I'm much more of like an earn it guy, So we'll see, man. Like I said, I'm excited. I hope this whole COVID thing breaks a little bit so I can get up there and kind of introduce myself and meet some of the new coaches because I've heard nothing but good things. But, as long as we keep beating Michigan and they keep getting beat by Ohio State by 150, I don't care. I'm good to go.
We're in good hands.
Well, let's get out of that, college football talk and transition into the fact that you were drafted. And you've been quoted by a reliable source, a.k.a. my brother who I live with, that said the best players get drafted in the 6th round. Is that true? And what was the feeling of getting drafted?
A couple things. So I think, just to talk about, in your brother's, lane right here, probably the GOAT was drafted, I think, a couple of picks either ahead or below me. I don't remember exactly where he was picked,
199. But 199, yeah.
199.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I was picked 209, I think. So give or take, but I mean, you could probably toss that around. We're probably both in that GOAT category.
Greatness.
100%.
He's made a little bit more money. I would give it a shot
marginally.
Here. Give or take, probably in a year, he made more than I made in my career. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, But honestly, man, the draft process was crazy. It was like you know, it was back in '05. I was actually, I went and played golf the first day of the draft because I was told, don't sit in front of the TV, you'll go crazy and blah, 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 blah. So I went out and played golf and didn't get a call. And I was like, wait a second, man, what's going on? I was supposed to be like a 3rd round pick, blah, 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 blah. Nothing happened. So the next day I went home and my parents had a little draft party and we got like 9 inches of snow. It was like the end of April. What? My dad was out, dude. I got a picture, dude. My dad was out in boots and a big winter hat and grilling on the back deck. And it was like, we had like snow up to his knees, dude. It was hilarious.
Nice.
So
awesome.
our power actually went out. Like we had ice and snow on the power lines and stuff. So, dude, so we had the cable went out, and I watched myself get drafted on the dial-up internet across the computer, dude, in 2005. It was the most like non-dramatic thing I've ever seen. Now, I got a call from Tony Dungy in the 6th round saying the Colts were going to take me and blah blah blah. That dude is, you know, he's one of the greatest guys, if not coaches ever, I think, in the league. But super cool. And my parents didn't even believe it. They thought I was lying. And but literally, we're watching it on a computer screen, dude, back in '05, and it like did a little ticker on the bottom, and I was like, "That's me! Shut up!" So it was pretty cool, man. It was pretty surreal, and obviously, you know, when you're even in college, you don't think you're going to be drafted. You know, as many people tell you that you don't believe it until you see it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool, man. I would suggest people do it more often, you know, if they can.
Oh my gosh, surreal is the word. That is the exact word that I would have used. Obviously, you know, I haven't been in that situation, but just hearing you describe that and what that must have been like, dude. Dial up on a 2005 computer. Parents didn't believe him,
bro.
That's an awesome
great,
story.
Man. Well,
that
the worst part about it is I got a call in the 4th round from the Bears, and the special teams coach calls me and he's like, "Hey man, we're going to take you with this next pick," and I'm like, "Oh, this is amazing, sweet," you know. And I had no contact with the Bears throughout the entire draft process. Like they weren't even on my, you know, team that was a radar. And literally, dude, as I'm talking to this guy, on the TV it pops up like I can't even pronounce the guy's name, but it's a linebacker from like LSU, and I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, "Oh my gosh, man, I apologize, man. We apparently I wasn't on the same page as my other," and he like hangs up on me.
Shut up.
Like,
oh my goodness.
And my dad's like, "Who was that?" I was like, so I called my agent right away. I'm like, "Dude, the Bears just called me and said they were going to take me." He goes, "What?" And it was like some Abanjeho, some dude. I was like, what? Like, that's not my name running across there. So anyway, I could have gone in the 4th. Basically, the Bears cost me a couple $100,000 is what it came down to.
That's a
Screw the
payday.
Bears. Screw the Bears.
But,
man.
Anyway, man, 6th round pick, went to the Colts, kicked off that year, and you know, played. I think I don't know. I think I've got 7 credited season in or 6 credited season or something like that. So
that's awesome.
It wasn't a bad gig.
No, not at all. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Is there, you know, definitely not the Bears, but is there one team that you enjoyed being with or being around most? And then on the flip side of that, like one team that you were like, you know, we're not going to badmouth anybody, but one team you're like, you know what, I'm excited to go and move somewhere else to kick footballs.
Well, so a couple things. So I really enjoyed playing in Green Bay.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed playing in Detroit. And they were for 2 separate reasons. Obviously, Green Bay has this crazy, awesome tradition of fans. And I mean, if you've ever been to Lambeau Field for a football game, or if you have not, it is absolutely one of the coolest experiences you'll ever find in the NFL. And I've been a lot of places.
Yeah.
But they have the best. I mean, like, it was to where, you know, where I'd have a good game and like the next morning I'd have like 2 cases of Miller Lite on my porch.
What?
You know, like
legend.
Like, first of all, who knows where I live? Secondly, I appreciate you bringing me, but you know, I'm not a big Miller Lite fan, but like that's the way it was. And then you have a bad game, and people won't even look at you like in the grocery store when you're trying to buy groceries. They'll like look away because they're like embarrassed of you.
That is
but
unreal.
That place, if you do well there, if you embrace that culture, they are the greatest fan base of any sport team I've ever seen.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that was cool. And then, honestly, I love Detroit just because I'm a hometown guy. My parents and family got to come to every home game. And, as bad as the Lions are, like, it's my whole life. I've known the Lions, right? So being able to play in a Thanksgiving game with your family there, like, it was cool, man. I got, I have game balls of the Thanksgiving game and stuff like that. So,
that is Lions fandom summed up in a sentence.
Honestly, man, this town is so ready for a good sports team that it's like it will take anything. And I think if we can bring in the right coaching staff and if we can bring in the right GM and manage, we can do some things. Like, we got some talent. Maybe send old Matty Stafford somewhere else and bring in a young guy. And
it hurts.
Washington. Send him to Washington.
I'm telling you, man, somebody's going to take him and he's going to go win a championship somewhere else. It's just not going to be in Detroit.
And I will be happy when that day comes. I will be over the moon.
I will be a fan.
Yeah, listen,
wherever
man,
Matt Stafford goes, I'll be a fan.
Yeah. And honestly, he's a great guy, man. I've done some things with him. He is a solid human being.
That's good to
hear.
That
has been almost a victim of the culture in Detroit for 10 years.
Oh.
Like, he's had great years, he's had bad years, but most of his good years, like, he was really good. Like, he's a good – if you watch him, and Drew as a quarterback too, like, that dude can make every throw that ever needs to be made in an NFL football game.
For sure.
Like, if you get him some coverage, you get him some blocking up front and a decent running game, and that guy could compete with every other legit quarterback in the league, I think. But, I think it's time for him to head out, and, we'll bring somebody else in that'll, who knows, but we're probably a few years away. But I think that this town would be absolutely on fire, dude, if the Lions were good, and they deserve it, right?
Yeah, they would embrace that immediately.
So one thing that you were talking about, playing for the Packers versus playing for the Lions, is obviously the Lions are built in a dome, right? So as far as elements go, kickers, how's it like? I know it's a big difference for ball carriers and even quarterbacks throwing the ball, but when the elements are hard to deal with, is it like, how do you like change your mindset? Are you like, oh, this is going to be a rough one? Like, ooh.
I hope it's not that.
Yeah.
50-50 ball.
Yeah.
It depends, man. It's such a funny thing, right?
Like playing in Buffalo, I know you did that. In a winter Buffalo game, that's got to be tough.
Bro, it was like, and honestly, there was a game we played against, I think it was when I was in Green Bay, we played against the Jets. And both of us were like, I think it was either the second to last game of the year, but it was like we were in Green Bay. And I don't know if you know, but in towards the end of the year in most of these outdoor stadiums that have grass, they replace the middle of the field with new, they like basically bring in a big sod chunk and just roll it down, right?
Yeah.
So like your Bears, the Eagles, the Packers, a lot of your like old school grass teams, right? Excuse me. So we're playing the Jets, and it's like, I'm not lying to you, it's like 7 degrees with the wind chill. Like, when you walk out of the stadium, they literally put Vaseline on your cheeks so that you don't get windburn, dude. And I walk out there, and I'm like, dude, and we're like, I think we're like 6-8 at this point.
Yeah.
We might be like 7-5. I don't know. We're bad. We went 8-8 that season. But we were like 6-8, I think, or 7-5 or something like that. And literally, dude, we go out there and like the opening kickoff, I'm like, the ref hands me the ball and I like squeeze that ball and I'm like, dude, this ball isn't going to go to the 30. Like, it is like kicking a deflated ball. So I pound this ball down there and it goes literally to like the 27.
Oh man.
And I come off the field and, our special teams coach is like, what's going on? I'm like, that is the hardest I could have swung at that ball ever. Like, that's as good as we get today.
Not budging.
Like, no way. I mean, it was brutal, dude. Like, you couldn't – the wind was blowing so hard. Like, the field was disgusting. It was, like, tore up because they turned heaters on to heat the middle of the field, but then it just melts the field. So then you have, like, a sloppy –
What?
some engineer needs to come in and figure out how to run, like, or just put turf everywhere. That's what I think they should do. But
eventually.
Anyway, there is a drastic difference between playing in a dome and playing in some of these cold weather places.
Yeah,
and I don't care, like, if it comes from a standpoint of, like, did you watch – I know you watched that Cleveland game the other night. I was going to give you
I was there.
We were there, yeah.
But, I forgot your dad got to – dude, listen, that kick he made right there at the end of the game, Like,
It was a
that
dagger.
is as hard of a field goal
Yeah.
as you will see in the NFL. That is a hard place to kick. The weather, it was cold. It wasn't super windy, but it was cold. But that field is terrible.
And a dog.
Like, it was chewed up all night. And honestly, man, listen, when Lamar came running out of that locker room, I thought, oh, shoot.
Giving me PTSD.
Here we
right
go.
now.
Here we
And
go.
Tucker made it
to
look
make
easy.
history.
Tucker made that
I know,
kick look
and honestly,
easy.
to be honest with you, as a kicker watching that, I think he undercut the ball a little bit too.
Yeah, I think
it
his
was
plant
spinning a
foot
ton.
like missed, not missed, but
Yeah.
like slipped a little
'Cause
bit.
it's grass.
And he's still
Like when you get lame and like old like me, you look at stuff like, oh, he undercut that ball. That ball's spinning a thousand,
Yeah.
but he's strong enough
That's
that
unreal.
that ball went, 55 yards. So,
He's got to have one of the
but yeah, I would
biggest
much
legs
rather
ever.
if I could do it all. Yeah, if I could do it all over, man, I'd play. I would love to play like in Houston or
Mhm.
like Arizona where they're grass indoors, because I love playing on grass. But there's a significant difference when that weather changes, when you're playing on that nasty stuff. Like, you see how Lamar was sliding all over the place?
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Like, I would have had inch-long cleats on just for my plant foot just to stick to try to stay from being on that, blooper reel.
So our last question for you here today is, obviously you ended up coaching at Michigan State and now you're at Oxford. So what led you to come back to those, I want to say, like, roots almost? Like, you came back to the two
Yeah.
schools that, helped you get to where you were. So what were the reasons why?
Well, Michigan State was one of those things that, like, I got offered a scholarship at the Michigan State kicking camp back in 2000. So I had like some roots there from that camp. So then I was asked shortly after I was out of college to run that camp
Mhm.
at Michigan State.
Oh,
So I ran
sweet.
that camp for about 13 years. And when I
Wow.
say run, I don't mean like I didn't put the entire thing on. We had all the at Michigan State coaches there, but I was
Yeah.
kind of
The
I
guy.
got to kind of lead. Yeah, I mean, I like Matt Coughlin. I basically said, hey, you should give that guy a scholarship.
Yeah.
So like I
That's awesome.
I got to do a lot of things with that camp because one, I've been to some other kicking camps at other schools, and Michigan State runs it's one of the only places I've ever been that the entire coaching staff, including the head coach, is at the camp the entire time.
Wow.
So it's a pretty
That's
legit.
true.
Like
That
they
actually
have.
says a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like Mike Tressel, like there was their D coordinator. He ran an entire kicking station by himself.
Wow.
Wow.
Like most of the places let their like GAs do it, and then the coaches kind of show up. These guys, the coaches are there the entire time. So that's one of the things that I thought was really, really interesting and done really well. So when I was at the camp back in like 17, D'Antonio said, hey, how do I get you on my staff to like help with our special team stuff? And I was like, well, you're the head coach. You could create a position.
Yeah. You do what you want.
You're the dude, right? So basically they created a special teams analyst is what they called it. So they had an
Special
offensive one, a
teams
defensive one, and they
analyst.
called a special teams analyst. So
Interesting.
I basically came in and assisted the special teams coach, which
Yep.
mainly meant I did everything. For the special teams coach, I basically broke down film and we went over like scheme and stuff like that. I watched, all the different games we were going to play and broke everything down, kind of like the offensive defensive analyst.
That's
And
great.
I basically worked with all of our punters and kickers and established kind of routines and things that they should do before games and during games and practices and stuff like that. And then actually I was there a year and it didn't work out like it had. I was kind of talked about it working out where I was going to be the special teams coach there. Some things came up, some other guys came available. The coach wanted to bring on staff. So I ended up leaving, and then they brought in Shane Graham, who was another former kicker, who actually I got connected in there to do the same thing I did. He was there for a year, and now they have a guy who I have not met. But yeah, man, I mean, that's my place, man. I love that. If I could get involved there with the same people a lot of the same people were there when I was there, other than coaches. I mean, a lot of the same like administration and people like that. But loved it there. And then obviously, with Oxford, I live in Oxford, and I was doing some things at the high school the one day, and Bud came up to me and said, "Hey, man, why don't you come be my wide receivers coach?" And I was like, "Well, never thought about coaching high school, but I figured it was significantly less stress and time than
I bet.
college, because that was one of the biggest issues, man, is like, I've got 3 little girls, and at the time I was up at Michigan State, I had 2 little girls, and I wouldn't see them for like 5 days in a row.
Man.
Like, it was, because I was at the office at 6 a.m. and I was home by 10, and they were in bed every time. So like, I had to make that choice. Like, yeah, you can make a lot of money doing anything, right? You can do whatever you want to do. So at the end of the day, you know, that was more important to me than the job I was doing. So we moved back, and you know, Bud had asked me about coaching, and I said, you know what, man, I talked to my wife a little bit, and she said, give it a shot. So
that's awesome.
You know, and I mean, Drew Carpenter was my inspiration the entire season.
Oh,
you know, he was, you know, I hated coaching until I came and met Drew, and then I was like, man, if they have athletes like this here, man.
Oh my God.
Well, Coach, I love the fact that you continue to be involved. Even now, it sounded like you've got some connections within that program, and you're keeping tabs on them. And obviously, your willingness more than anything to be involved with that program, as well as Oxford. You know, that's just incredible, and I think it speaks values about you. But thank you so much for joining us here, just for a small bit and sharing some of those thoughts.
Yeah, this has been a fun one,
No
Coach.
problem, man.
Great conversation with Coach Rayner. What a guy.
A guy who actually liked playing for the Lions. Maybe
Possibly.
Calvin
Or
Johnson
more than
couldn't
the
say that.
Packers. More than the Packers.
Potentially.
It sounded
But-
like he liked the Packers better.
But it also didn't sound like any Lions fans were leaving Miller Lite on his porch.
No.
So you have to
True.
bring that into the equation and see.
It's the beer.
It is.
It's the weight of the heart.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And the dome.
Oh.
You're talking about the Lions Dome. Yeah.
Hey,
Let's
we
talk
keep
about
it
the Lions.
G-rated around here.
Let's talk about the Lions. They add some franchise legends to their staff.
Dave
Spielman.
Rayner not added to that. It's
No, he
kinda-
is not. Disappointing, but
Yeah.
Chris Spielman, longtime linebacker for the Lions. His official title with the team is the Special Assistant to Chairman and President, which is currently Rod Wood. So he'll be assisting in that search for a general manager and head coach. And Barry Sanders, really, who does not need any introduction, will serve as an advisor in this process and will participate in the interviews throughout the decision.
Look at Sheila.
Barry wasn't really hired, but he was just like, he's there.
Exactly. He's
put
not
his foot in.
hired on the
He's
staff.
like, I'm
Spielman is.
done watching this.
Let
Probably,
me tell
dude.
you. Let me tell you.
He's
what to
become a
say.
lot more involved, especially on like Twitter and other social media too.
He
I
has.
see him talking about
I would
the
love
team.
to see Calvin Johnson like
Orlovsky's
that.
next.
Right. But
I'd love
Calvin
to
and
see
Johnson just won't endorse the team like that because of the way things ended in Detroit.
Yeah, then we got to fix that, and then he's come home.
The new regime.
Come home.
The new regime will do that. I hope so. I hate that word, but I hope they do. But what I want to talk about is that Detroit is set to interview Louis Riddick today,
No, thank you.
Thursday.
No, thank you.
I agree. I'm with you, and I agree, but we're at least going to talk about it. So, as you know, we're seeing this is the first external candidate for the general manager position. They've done some interviews in-house, just starting to do their due diligence, and really go through that whole like recruiting of a general manager process. But Riddick was previously the director of pro personnel for both Washington and Philadelphia, and he really has been waiting for this because he always tweets like, "Oh, Stafford, hell of a throw by Stafford. Fantastic. Look at these Lions playing." It sounds like to me that he's just been waiting for this job opportunity. He loves it.
This is just my opinion, not on Louis Riddick, but I feel like we should hire a coach before the GM. Is that just me?
I think it is.
That thinks that?
Well, I don't know
I
if
feel
you're
like-
wrong in thinking that. I don't necessarily think that's the usual way of doing that. Usually go
No.
top down.
Yeah, but like if you hire a GM,
the
then the
GM's
GM's going to hire the coach that he wants.
But
and
he's
look what
also-
happened last time.
But he's also going to be on the same page as the, Chris Spielman.
Yeah.
And the Barry Sanders.
True. And
So
they'll
now
stay
it is,
around.
yeah. But that GM head coach relationship is something that is so important because we've seen in multiple franchises.
Bill
If
Belichick,
that
Robert
doesn't work,
Kraft.
though, the team is dysfunctional and you're not going to have any success, no matter what type of roster you have, because that whole situation of who has roster control, who has the ability to make big time decisions. If the head coach and GM are on the same page, that can be done fluidly. It can be done organically. If it's not happening that way, there are so many workarounds.
The Texans.
and that's a great point.
Bill O'Brien took advantage of his power.
Exactly,
And-
because he was the acting head coach and general manager, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. And we saw what happened to him.
And he's gone.
When J.J. Watt wants you out of Texas,
You get out
you're
of
out
Texas.
of Texas.
Yeah.
There ain't no ifs,
don't-
ands, or
you
buts.
don't
JJ
mess with
Watt,
Texas.
JJ Watt wants himself out of Texas now, as the Texans
probably
are horrible.
Probably. Deshaun Watt, get Deshaun out of Texas, by the way. But either way, I will say I saw on Instagram that the Lions are going to be interviewing the former GM of the Falcons, I want to say.
Which would honestly, I'd find that appealing.
Yeah?
I
You don't even
honestly
know
do.
who he is?
I forget his name, but
Okay, good.
Look at the Falcons. Besides the last like couple years,
Oh yeah, I mean
They
they've
were
had
dominant.
some,
Super
they've
Bowl
had
team.
some success. Yeah.
and even before they went to
28
the
to
Super
3.
Bowl,
I would say just this year. Look at and they're
Yeah.
like still winning games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Not
you
against
did
the
say
Lions.
Louis Riddick, right? Some
Yep.
guy who isn't currently in the NFL, but the Raiders hired Mike Mayock, who's
Yep.
an NFL
Yep.
Network guy, and
John Gruden.
yeah, and
That's
John
a great.
Gruden.
That's actually two great examples of a similar situation.
But you could also say, I mean, the Raiders they're getting
Yeah.
more success,
Beat the
but
Chiefs.
they've had some draft picks where you're like, what?
Oh yes, they have, dude.
Like a guy
Yes,
who was
they
almost
have.
a convicted felon,
oh my gosh.
Gary and Conley
I can't
from Ohio
say.
State.
Can't say I know.
Yeah, they took him in the first round,
Oh.
and he was like up for
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, I'm
But
sure we'll touch back on this next week because I'm interested to see where that goes. I don't think we'll have anything definitive by next week. Would you agree with
No,
that?
I
No.
would say
I think that process
I would
is a little
say
bit longer than
after off season is when we'll finally hire.
Yeah, watch
GM.
see
I agree.
Bevel work his way, like see what he
Yeah,
can do.
see, like give him a chance. Like I'm not worried about the GM. Just play this season out, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Hair on fire for Bevel.
Hey, can you make my hair on fire?
No, I can't. I don't have that editing prowess. But let's talk about the rookie of the year right now for us. I got a list of no, they're not all offensive guys on here. Hunter.
Yeah, 'cause
So
you got to take
these are the
it's
top
one
15.
offense, one defense.
Yeah, but these are top 15 right now, and we got like a free safety on here. We've got linebacker and nose tackle on here. Right now, Justin Herbert leading the conversation. You think that's just he's a quarterback and he's putting up numbers or what?
Overall rookie, I would say Justin Herbert has been the best. Yes, they're sorry team, the Chargers.
I disagree.
Anthony Lynn does not know how to coach.
Nope.
Yeah,
But Herbert is by far the best rookie this year.
100%.
by far.
And I would say even if Joey was still playing, I
I
would
still
still
agree
stay
with you.
with Herbert.
I still agree with you.
Right
Wow.
here. Right here.
Got that connection. I'm out of it. Justin Jefferson has been dominant. He's done things that rookies have not done since, what was it, Randy Moss?
Odell
Well,
did it.
Randy Moss too, but either way, he's put up numbers that are
Don't compare him to
trumping.
Randy.
I'm just putting up the stats.
Just because he plays for the Vikings, that's the only reason
Yeah.
people do it.
But
Vikings have won some big time games. He's been a big time contributor for that team.
which in the offensive rookie of the year, not just like best rookie period, because Chase Young, the best rookie period would be Herbert, Chase Young right there.
Okay,
But
that's
for
fair. He's
offensive
yeah.
rookie, it's Justin Jefferson. Like he'll get some votes for rookie.
Jefferson
of the year,
is
but
at number
Herbert's gonna
2
win
right
that.
now, and I forget. I think it was like CBS who did these rankings or something. But Herbert, Jefferson, Young are those top 3. So I think that's justified.
Which after this week, after last week, these are probably last week because Young had a heck of a game last week.
That's pretty updated. So
Okay,
yeah,
well,
it's
what I'm
pretty
saying.
current.
I think
yeah.
actually I would
What?
I would
Exciting
have
about
I would have a say that Young is actually the best rookie. Like not
Interesting.
just offensive and
I don't know.
and defensive. What do you got to say?
I don't know about that.
Jeremy Chin from the Panthers.
He's
He's
balling
been a
out.
stud this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, he's at number 6 right here.
Yeah.
But Chase Young is going to win rookie
Well, I really,
defensive rookie. of
I
the year.
mean, yeah, I think Chase Young will, but honestly, I look at Jeremy Chin. I feel like has had more of an impact on his team. Where Chase Young's surrounded
Interesting.
by 3 other great
That defensive front is
and
unreal. in
exactly
Washington.
where I was going. Where your point, Justin Jefferson's not even the number 1 or 2 option on his team. How could he be? Delvin
Who's
Cook
the number?
Dalvin
and
Cook,
Adam Thielen.
Thielen. He's that third option on that offense.
and Justin
I don't know about
Herbert
that.
is the guy. What do you mean you
What do
don't
you
know
mean?
about
Talking
that?
about just like in general offensive weapons?
Yeah, like
offensive
I'd rather
weapons.
give them
Okay.
the ball than.
I thought you were talking about like
Justin Jefferson.
receiving or something like that.
Oh no,
Okay. I see.
I would
But
say
Dalvin Cook has had
receiving
down weeks though the last couple of weeks, and we have not seen a decline from Jefferson.
A
That's
down,
where
a down week for Dalvin Cook is
like
still
80 yards.
100.
no.
It's
I'm
100.
talking.
he had
yards.
100 yards and a touchdown last week against the Bucks.
I'm saying
No, I
in
saw
the before that he had a few. He had a streak of games that he was not performing. I'm just saying.
He is on a 7-game streak of having 110 plus scrimmage yards.
I don't think so.
Right now,
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook is the best back in football.
You said King Henry was last week.
I said right now.
He might be all around. I think Derrick
All
Henry's
around.
better runner.
Yeah,
Interesting.
We got into that. We know what everybody
pat-
thinks. But
Yeah.
just saying, he is that third option on that team. And don't forget about Antonio Winfield from the Bucks. He had a monster like first 5 games
Yeah.
or whatever.
That's very true.
Now he's just chilled out.
Yeah, but I guess after that though, it's like we have to talk about like in comparison to rookies. You know what I mean? So like even
Yeah.
for him, he's still performing very well.
James
but when you're
Robinson.
up against a bunch of guys that have been in the league for so long, you might not notice it. You know what I
James
mean?
Robinson's top 5 in rushing, undrafted.
Number
Really?
3. He's number 3.
I didn't know that.
He's behind Henry and Cook.
I did not know that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Good for him.
He was a third one to break 1,000 yards.
How about
First undrafted rookie ever to rush for 1,000 yards in a season.
That's got to get some votes.
really Philip Lindsay didn't do that?
No.
Wow, I would have expected him to be that guy. because he was
He
undrafted,
broke
correct?
Philip Lindsay's record.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Just
That
like
makes sense.
Herbert.
Yeah, I think it was
probably
short.
break-
He was 13 games. Lindsay was like 16 games.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. How about your guy, Jonathan Taylor, who we talked about last week? He's
Yeah,
at number 15.
He's going to get hot here, I feel like, but at the same time, when you haven't had that big old production of body of work, where like Jalen Hurts could be a stud and look way better than Herbert. There's no way he'll get Rookie of the Year.
Just like Lamar Jackson.
Jalen Hurts is not even on this
his
list.
Rookie year.
And
He
even
came in like week 8.
Yeah, and that's Herbert's going to break Baker's record for rookie touchdowns. That's why I feel like it's his to get.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Do you think that has anything to do with the fact that he's splitting a good bit with Nyheim Hines in the backfield?
Yeah, for sure.
Because he doesn't
And
get that
even
sole role.
Joe Wilkins has even played a little bit. And honestly, he was going to split even more time when Marlon Mack didn't get hurt. Then he tore his Achilles.
Yeah, that's a great point. So he's actually had a chance now to
He's
to
had
shine
more
a
of
little
a
more
chance
than he would have originally.
Which I think even next year
Good
he's
point.
going to split reps with Mac.
Yeah,
Probably.
Well,
They are different
I
backs.
feel like
though.
Mac
different skill sets that complement
might
each
be
other.
on his way out.
Okay.
Too. An Achilles injury for a running back.
Yeah.
That's a
tough.
good point. Yeah,
I like
that's
how
not something you
Jonah
bounce back
Jackson's
from.
on this list.
Yeah, I like the offensive lineman getting some opportunities there.
There's
He
a,
had-
there's
he's
a
had
few
he's had
offensive
season-
linemen.
He's had a good season.
The one that
Owenu-
I loved that was that Tristan Wirfs for the Bucks.
Yeah, and you know what?
I remember him getting
Jedrick
drafted.
Wills is not on there. And I know I'm a Browns fan, but he's played such a crucial role in their pass blocking scheme. I don't know how he's not even in the top 15.
And also Beachum is probably the best player on the Jets' offense.
yeah.
Really?
He is the best player on their offense. And he's a left tackle.
Bold take. The best player on their offense is a left tackle.
Well, I mean,
That's
there's
awesome.
not much to compare him to.
We are going to transition over to some college football talk. But before that, I want to go to a conversation with Caleb Smith, our second guest of the day, to talk about his journey to Ferris State. Our second guest of the day on Division I Rejects is a new member of the GLIAC, now officially a Bulldog at Powerhouse Ferris State University. Coming, though, from South Dakota, a high school football state champion, from Davison, and one of the pound-for-pound strongest members of any defensive secondary. It's Caleb Smith. What's going on, Caleb?
How you doing?
Fantastic, man. I'm pumped to have you on. I will say right off the bat that I was so pissed that we did not get to play you guys last year after we lost to Eisenhower.
Yeah, that would have been a good game. I mean, it would have been better than the Eisenhower game for sure.
Dude, it would have been like they beat us, I think, by like one score, and then went out and just got murked by you guys. And we had that scrimmage earlier in the year, and it was just like that atmosphere was awesome, even for like a pregame, like a scrimmage before the season. But yeah, I was pissed about that. But anyways, I remember powerlifting with you too, and it feels like such a long time ago, even though it was probably like around a year ago. And first of all, you already know you put up some numbers in the weight room, but if I remember correctly, you hold some records at Davison for a few of the lifts.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, let's hear a couple.
I mean, I have the front squat record. It's I did 435 for 3, and then with bench I did 315 for 5.
That's unreal, bro. And for and people, I don't
Four?
Don't take this the wrong way, but like for a safety, you know what I mean? Like you expect those numbers coming from a middle linebacker or defensive lineman. You know what I mean? So I want to know, what do you do to keep that combination of strength and speed? Because obviously both are required to play that position. You can't just be the biggest guy in the field because you have to be able to move around, read defenses. What do you do right now, especially not being able to work out as I'm sure you usually would be doing with a bunch of guys or playing 7-on-7 or whatever?
It mostly takes a lot of cardio. So with how much I eat, I usually try to balance out with cardio in the morning and cardio before I go to sleep. So
yeah,
it's just trying to stay on your feet as much as possible. It's always good to lift a lot, but if you can't go out there and do your job, there's no point in lifting a lot of weight. So you gotta make sure you find that balance.
Yeah, no, you're right,
That
dude.
balance.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I need to stop with my cardio a little bit.
I do too.
But you're totally right though. I've played with some guys that they will lift you out of the gym, but then as soon as you get on the field, whether it be they just don't understand the game or they're not positioned ready to play football.
There's names on the top of my head that I think.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's guys that you think of like that. So it's important to have that balance. But I mentioned it. You just found a new home with Ferris State, and I want to say, tell me if this is correct. You were only in that transfer portal stage for 5 days before you got committed to Ferris.
That is correct.
Bro, that's for me. I just think that's unreal because I remember I saw your tweet
finding a home that fast.
Yeah, like finding a new place that quickly. I saw your tweet and reached out to you immediately because after only a semester at South Dakota, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised to see you enter that transfer portal. But I am very happy to see that you found a home so quickly. I would assume then that coming out of South Dakota, Ferris was an ideal landing spot for you.
It was one of the schools I talked to a lot, and I was me and my coach, head coach from high school, were really cool with him and his people. But they were definitely some people that were there. No matter what, they knew I wasn't going to come. I was going to South Dakota, but they still called me and check up on me. So they always kept a good little relationship going. So I always had it with them. But I kind of already knew where I was going to go after I transferred.
Yeah, and that's Coach Anise, correct?
Yeah, Coach Anise.
Got you. That's important. I mean, especially like even after obviously. You had an offer from Ferris State before going to South Dakota. Even though you don't go there, they maintain that connection with you and that relationship. I would assume, like you said, that's a huge reason that you ended up there. But how excited are you to join that Ferris State team? Obviously, have been dominating the GLIAC the last couple of years, but more importantly, they send a lot of guys to the NFL like almost every year. I want to say Drew and I were at the Ravens-Browns game just the other night, and we saw a guy from Ferris State on the field there. So that was like really surreal for us to see playing in the same league as these guys. I think it's really cool because I know you're a guy that has aspirations to play at that next level after college. Is that something that's super important to you as well?
Yeah, so that was one of the big factors was just seeing them actually produce guys and have guys in the league right now. I think they have around 6 or 7 guys that actively play in the NFL.
Yeah.
So it's like with them having all that and like knowing that I could have a future, what I want to do, and then being able to put me there is pretty big because with a lot of the other schools, it'd be like that's a dream, that's a possibility. With them, it could be an actual reality. So I thought that was pretty dope.
A dream versus a reality. That's pretty well put. I like that. Like other schools might not treat it as seriously as Ferris.
Right, yeah, kind of. I was thinking that, yeah. So when I had to go take a visit to Grand Valley and like other schools like that.
Okay.
I was thinking pretty quick actually. So I mean, it just seemed like more of like an actual thing that could be accomplished with Ferris compared to the other schools. So I thought that was really a big factor for me.
Yeah, well, definitely, dude. It sounds like you have your priorities straight, which is an awesome thing. But I want to talk about some of your guys that are graduating this year from Davison. We talked with my former high school coach, Hunter and I's John Blackstock, last week about how schools are missing out on a ton of scholarship money this year because of that increased eligibility for their seniors. Now they have to keep those guys on scholarship for another year, which leaves them with less money for the 2021 recruiting class. And really, this whole process is just screwing everybody, it seems like. What have you heard from some of those guys and how that recruiting process has been so far?
It's tough on a lot of guys, especially guys who going into their senior year don't really have a lot of offers and they're trying to line up season and maybe some last second camps to go to during the summer. So with that being taken away, it was kind of riding out on like maybe the 8 games that they got to play in. And a lot of them don't have a lot of film to show off that, so they're kind of just working, just like keeping their prayers up to get it. So I feel for those guys a lot because I remember being in a situation where I didn't have any offers, I didn't have any look or anything like that. I was trying to make it to every camp, but at least I had the option. So for those guys, it's just like, whenever I see one of my guys that are like trying to post something about working hard, I always like try to recreate, like help them out. Like, I mean, I know my say is not going to get them a lot farther, but it'll help out at least somewhat. So, I mean, it's going to be really tough for those guys, but in the end, we'll just make it for the better. I feel bad for those guys, but I mean, they got to go through it.
Yeah, it's not like there's really any way around it. You know,
I didn't even think about those camps, like summer camps. Those were all shut down because of COVID.
Like
I didn't even think about that and all that.
I
was just thinking about like games and visits and all that.
For real. And I know me personally, like I was so sick of going to camps because I'm like, we've talked about it. Like I'm the last guy that's like a short and t-shirt guy. Like I'm not going to go run the fastest 40. I'm not going to juke some kid out in like a one-on-one drill or whatever. It's just not me. You know what I mean? Like put the pads on and I'm a decent player, but like, I don't know. What do you think about all that?
I wish they had, like you said, I wish they had a camp with pads on because a lot of these dudes who show up at camp can't really play on the field and it's like vice versa. So it's like, you don't really get a good feel for a guy when they're playing in t-shirts and shorts rather than fucking shoulder pads and other shit like that. So it's like, I wish that they'd do like 7-on-7 hitting or like full team stuff. Like that'd be sweet in a camp. Like, so if anybody's listening, they should make that happen. But I mean, if they made that happen, I think it'd be a lot easier on coaches to recruit instead of just kind of base off film and then whatever 40 time they run. So I think there's a lot more to play than just that.
There'd be way less risk involved with like picking up some kids who like are prima donnas and like basically look real good out in the field or whatever, and then you put the pads on.
And it's like, ooh, I don't want to get hit.
Now I will say, I know you had an offer from Western Illinois, correct? Originally.
Yes, sir.
So I got invited to a camp out there, and I remember their coach telling me that, like, you know, if I came out to the camp, bring shoulder pads and a helmet. Like, they were allowed to do shells and stuff for their prospect camps. You ever hear anything about that?
I have never. Well, I say anything about Western Illinois. Western Illinois offered me as a fullback.
Okay, a fullback.
Yeah, but
what?
I don't know. With Western Illinois, I didn't hear anything about that. So they actually had you guys wear shells and shit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I
So
don't.
They
Yeah,
had you guys
that's,
wear shells?
yeah, that's what I didn't end up going, so I didn't get to see it. It didn't really sound like they had really much interest in me. It was kind of like a, you know, just like a come to the camp,
invite.
whatever. Yeah, so I didn't end up going there. It didn't really seem like a place I wanted to be at. But yeah, he was saying like, and he sent me a couple clips. I think it was like Coach Roberts there, right? It's probably the same guy that you talked to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was sending me some clips, and these guys were doing like Oklahoma, and I'm like,
No
yo,
way.
That's just
like this is something I want to be a part of.
I mean, it's also like you can't
Yeah.
go to a camp and be like, "Hey, sign all this paperwork." Because like, imagine if you get a concussion there. Now it's on.
Oh, you
that
do,
coach's
yeah. You had to
fault.
sign. You had to sign
Exactly.
off basically on the fact that like, hey, if I get injured, it's not
on the
these
school.
coaches' fault.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude,
like
that would be.
that's probably why nobody does shoulder pads and all that.
That's probably true. And I wonder if it's like a state thing too in Illinois. I mean, I don't know. I do remember that though, and I remember being like so blown away by that. But back to those guys in that senior recruiting class, I just want to know from you, could you imagine committing to a school without like either visiting there or being there for a game or whatever? Because that's what it seems like. There are so many kids that are going to have to make super tough decisions like that without even being on campus.
I kind of feel for him because when I committed to South Dakota my end of my junior year going to senior year, and I was never on campus until after early signing day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you signed before you actually got on campus?
Yeah, about a year before I
Wow.
got on campus.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that. So
Yeah,
this is
I
an
never
early
took a
signing.
visit out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously, then when you got to campus, it was just like a. I mean, did you
Here's
feel
campus.
like? I was just saying, do you feel like you
Here's
just committed in
campus.
right away, or what?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely different. So, like, I took an official there about probably like 5 or 6 months before we actually all went on the campus because they bumped everything. But
Okay.
it was kind of just me having faith and a lot of coaches there and being like, okay, as long as it's what you guys say it's going to be, I'll come. And then when you get, like, you don't feel fit once you get there, obviously. But it is definitely a huge risk. I wish I would have just went there on campus and saw it first and stuff like that and really see how I fit in. So I feel for those guys. It'd be tough just making that call because you're a guy with a bunch of offers that you can't go see places. It's like, what are you going to, like, decipher between what's better than one thing and you haven't even done that? So that'd be tough.
Yeah, I know. Like schools are doing like virtual tours now, and like trying to show off parts of campus without even being with kids. In a lot of states or a lot of even schools are not allowing coaches to do home visits. Like this year is like so
different. It's an
different. It's like a
anomaly.
nice way. It's like terrible. It's terrible for all these guys. I really like. I feel for all of them and like having to go through, you know, whatever, all of that. But what is the next step for you heading out to Ferris State? When will you actually report to campus here after break?
I think it's the first couple weeks of January. I'm not really sure on the set
Okay.
date, but
Got you.
no,
And
the
then
next step would just be just to try to get in, be with the guys, and just be a part of a new team. I mean, it's gonna be like the same thing over again from last semester, but I feel like it'll be a pretty good fit. I know a lot of the guys there, so it'll be cool playing
yeah.
some old dudes that you so that'd be cool.
that's what I was about to ask, Lee. If you had any, you know, prior connections coming into Ferris, or if you were kind of, you know, maybe going in blind. But it sounds like you know a lot of the guys there. Got some good connections.
Yeah, like we all train at this place in Flint called 475. So I know a couple dudes like some twins that play DB there, and then like Nick and Mark, and they play D on it. So
Okay.
I know a couple guys there, and like Dan Perry and stuff from the here.
Yeah.
But I'm a couple guys.
And they don't have you playing fullback, right? They got you playing safety.
Yeah, they got me playing safety. so
Okay,
I'm
good.
to go.
I was gonna say, dude, when you said that earlier, I mean, not that like, you know, you don't have the build for it or anything. I just was a little bit caught by surprise by that. But what does that defensive secondary look like for the Bulldogs right now? What kind of guys do they have returning?
I think they didn't really have a lot of people to edge or anything, especially with everybody getting that extra year of eligibility. I
Yeah,
think a lot of
that's
guys
true.
get jobs, but they got about the same core they got last year. So I mean, some pretty good dudes. I mean, I just want to try to fit in somewhere that I can make a little impact. But wherever my impact would be, whether it's on special teams or something, just hoping to get on the field and do whatever I can to help them win.
That's the mindset you got to have. That's the mindset you got to have. Blue collar mindset. Get in there, work your tail off, work your way up. I got no doubt you'll do that, my man. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thank you for having me. Hope you guys have a good night.
Of course. You too, my guy. I'll talk to you. Great conversation with Caleb. Man that can front squat the entire weight room, it seems.
Yeah, it seems like that. That was a
Dude,
big number.
That was, I'm telling you, man. I powerlifted with him. He beat me by a pretty small margin, but he beat me. He was
a small margin.
Strong dude. I'm
Keep
just
up
saying.
there, Kobe.
He's a strong dude. Great dude, too. He was safety at Davison. I was kind of surprised to hear that he was getting recruited as a fullback at Western Illinois.
You smush him?
It sounded like, what?
You smush him? Did
What
you
you
ever play him?
No, we did.
We scrimmaged.
We were Davison's last loss.
Yeah, give me some.
Hey, we scrimmaged. Not going to
smush 'em?
say we drove down the field in 3 plays. I was really looking forward to that game against them if we did not, lose to Eisenhower. We could not get our crap together. So that would have been great.
But
But
a
hey,
tough game to go to, too.
what is, you know what I mean? So,
Especially sitting on the Eisenhower side.
oh, Jesus.
I moved from time
That
to
is
time.
brutal, man.
Moved from
But
time to time.
let's talk about some college football. This weekend, we have some great conference championships. Hunter, why don't you start us off at the top of that list?
All right, so conference champions this week. We got Ohio State, Northwestern, 4 versus 14.
Big Ten.
Big Ten. We'll get to our picks later, but this I'm just going to name them off. Alabama, Florida, another big game, SEC. Notre Dame, Clemson. This is an interesting one because Notre Dame, once again, is in the ACC
The
this
best.
week.
Yeah, this is the best. I
This
mean,
is
ranking-wise,
yeah. And also will probably be the best game. But
Agreed.
once again, Notre Dame's in the ACC. Got Big 12, Iowa State, Oklahoma. Will be
Very
a great,
interesting.
underrated.
Very
Underrated
interesting
game.
game right there.
interesting because especially
close.
Iowa State sitting at that 6th spot. Could see some shuffling.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Pac-12, Oregon, USC, which we talked about last episode because Washington can't play because of COVID.
Yeah,
So Oregon moved in there.
that one probably won't be as interesting.
Yep. Sun Belt, we got Louisiana and the boys at Coastal Carolina.
I might be most excited about this game.
I will
I'm not
be
kidding.
watching that game.
Dude, Coastal Carolina barely pulled one out against Troy last
Yeah,
week. You guys see that?
they-
They scored late in the 4th quarter to keep that winning streak alive.
The announcer seemed very enthusiastic when he did.
Yeah,
He was like,
exactly.
Coastal scores a touchdown.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, like, if they, not to get caught up on the Sun Belt here for a second, but if they were to lose to Troy, that would give the college football, like, ranking committee and everything
They drop 'em
more than enough. They'd be gone. They've just been waiting for a reason to get them out of town. You know what I mean?
And I love it.
I love it.
UCF
They're
a couple
sticking
years
around.
ago.
They're
Yeah.
sticking around. UCF is in a similar situation. They were in a similar situation, but Louisiana's at number 19. Coastal's at 12. Louisiana, one of their staple wins was against that Iowa State team, who's currently at number 6 in the country.
Yeah.
That looks pretty good right about now. But the last two, what was it, Group of 5? Not Power 5, but Group of
AAC,
5 games.
Group of 5.
We've got the
AAC.
American Athletic Conference, number 23 Tulsa at number 9 Cincinnati, which was actually supposed to happen last week between the two teams. Not the conference championship, but they were supposed to play last week. Got canceled because of this stupid pandemic. So, thankfully, we got a backup week, and they get to play
Well, I
this
kind of
week.
like it because now they're able to just play for the championship. Like,
I agree.
get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way. Why play twice?
No.
You know what I mean? I agree with you. But last but not least, the Mid-American Conference, also known as the MAC, Buffalo, and our guy Jarrett Patterson, that insane running back.
That guy.
Who has a twin brother,
Baby
by the way,
Brown.
playing linebacker there, I believe.
Really?
So I watched a little bit of a story on him. They are playing against Ball State. Ball State, I believe, is
Buffalo by a
5-0.
million.
Buffalo actually has a loss in the season. I forget who they
Buffalo
lost
by
to.
a million.
I'm just saying.
I'll
that.
take Buffalo too, but I'm just saying Buffalo is, I believe, 4-1 coming into that game. Ball State's undefeated
No,
currently.
I want to say they're undefeated.
I mean,
Buffalo, who'd they lose? They didn't lose to
Look it
Kent
up.
State.
Look it up. I don't know, but I thought I saw that. The one team I did want to mention, though, before we kind of go back through and break down some of those games, is number 5 currently, Texas A&M, who didn't make a conference championship this year because of Alabama in the SEC West, and a win over a 3-6 Tennessee team this weekend isn't going to do much for them in the college football playoff picture. Tennessee, they're going to beat them, I would assume, right? Tennessee has not had the year. The Volunteers have not had the year that they were expecting. I think they're actually pretty highly favored, not to win like the SEC or anything crazy, but
Tennessee and Texas are always so highly favored and always.
Texas has been as of late. Obviously, they've had their days.
Texas is.
Since Vince Young, I guess. But
Well, Texas went to the Big 12 championship a couple years ago.
okay, so they've been relevant.
They've-
They've been, but
And
Tennessee most definitely has not.
And by the way, Kobe, Buffalo is actually 5-0. And once again, I will say Buffalo by a million.
My bad. I'll still agree with you. Buffalo that's the team. You can't go against Jarrett Patterson,
you're right.
who tweeted at Ohio football because they had to cancel the game because of COVID. He's like,
Man,
you didn't want me to
rush.
yeah, y'all ducking us, man. He said something along the lines of like, you lucked out. You know what I mean?
Lucked out.
That's so funny.
Bad man next Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, but
Running back out
whoa.
of the MAC. Running back out of the MAC. He's from Toledo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like,
I thought you were talking about like
not talent-wise.
the punter. Okay.
Oh.
The punter cream.
Well, let's talk about some of these games in a little bit more in depth here before we move on to our next topic, our last topic here. Ohio State, Northwestern. I think Northwestern
Blowout.
is going to start pretty strong. I think they're going to have Justin Fields flustered a little bit. I think they get a big-time
This is
turnover.
coming from the same guy who said The Browns and Ravens, I feel like it's going to be a defensive matchup.
Yeah. Dude, I
So
will
your
say,
credibility's
when we showed up, I was like, I'm not expecting to see too much offense early. I said early.
Okay.
But I said I'm not expecting to see too much offense early because of the conditions and the teams having the running offense. And it was a freaking just
Shootout.
Beautiful
yeah,
game.
it was a firefight. It was awesome. But Ohio State, Northwestern, I say Northwestern keeps it interesting, at least in the beginning. They have a big-time turnover that's going to keep them in the game. Dude, as long as they can keep the ball in their hands and not give Ohio State opportunities to actually,
But their offense is, what, 10th, 8th, 9th in the Big Ten?
Exactly. So I say Ohio State runs away with it in the second half easily. If it even is interesting at that point. But I do think Northwestern will stick around.
All I'm saying is just don't bet on Northwestern.
Agreed. I would not. No, I would not put any money on that.
Take the over.
Alabama, Florida.
Alabama, Florida.
I feel like it's going to be a close game.
Take the over.
I do. I think Florida's going to come out showing that. I just think they're better than a 7th ranking. Obviously, with a loss, they're going to have to be there. But
I think Alabama knocks the freaking wheels off.
I think so, too.
I mean, I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know you think keep it close. Yeah. No, I don't think Kyle Trask is enough to keep them in this game because Alabama defense, like we know, even though this year is not the defense they've had in past years, it's been much more of an offensive year.
Defense.
It's
still
that's the weird thing about Alabama.
They don't rebuild, they
thing.
reload.
Exactly. Like a down year for Alabama defense. You know what I mean?
6th. Yeah.
Is insane. But we always known their defense to be just legendary and one of the best in college football. But since more of the emphasis has been placed upon that, those stars on the offensive side of the ball, we haven't heard as much about their defense. They're still performing. And I think Kyle Trask still has a great day. He's going to put up between 250 and 300 yards. You know what I mean? They're going to throw the ball 45 times.
He's going to throw up his point.
He's going to throw it up. It's not going to be enough. I say Alabama keeps Florida under 30 points and they get the win. But, we're not doing game picks. We're not doing game picks. Yeah. But I will say that's just what I was thinking. But what about this ACC championship game? Number 2 Notre Dame versus number 3 Clemson. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is back for the Tigers.
That's all you need to know. I feel like.
I think you can literally go back. I will be taking Clemson.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is the best player in college football, even though he's not going to win the Heisman this year.
And I agree wholeheartedly with that statement. Yeah, I agree because
I feel like it's.
He's gonna throw up the MJ,
and technically it's an upset if that happens.
I'm back. He's back.
They are ranked below them.
I feel like Clemson's gonna be projected to win by Vegas, though.
Really,
like a -2.
That would be interesting. Yeah,
like
I don't see that very.
Like how the Ravens were projected to beat the Browns.
That's a good point. That's a good point because of Lamar Jackson coming back.
Yeah,
so it's a pretty similar situation. Yeah, I agree with you though because he takes that term game manager, and it's so much more because of how talented, like unreal talented he is, but his ability to still manage that team and to be a leader on and off the field.
And
he got engaged in the stadium. He ain't going to lose at Clemson. He's 85 and 3 as a starter from high school to college. He's like 85 and 5.
I don't think that he's the biggest difference maker in that game, though.
Really? Who is it?
I think it's ETN. I think Trevor's going to look to him.
If they can run the ball.
That's a good point.
Can run the ball.
Everyone's going to be looking Trevor's back. Trevor's back.
And guess what? That's what I said originally, not to toot my own horn, but I did say when they originally met against Notre Dame and Clemson, I said this. You can go back and watch the pod. I said this. I said Travis Etienne is going to be the difference maker in this game. He came out. The game was still very close because Uiagalelei had an unreal showing for that backup quarterback role.
Pronunciation. That slipped right off the tongue.
Congrats. But Travis Etienne had a down game, and even though that game went into, 1 or 2 overtimes?
Yeah.
Right?
True.
But even though that was that close of a game, if Etienne has a better day and they keep that ball in their hands away from Ian Book and that Fighting Irish offense, that's a win for Clemson. So I would agree with you. Etienne has a good day, take Clemson.
I really feel like they're more dynamic when Trevor's in because
that's true.
DJ.
Yep, DJ.
He's a gifted passer.
He is. He threw for almost 400 yards.
I mean, he can run, but Trevor's got some wheels.
Trevor does, man, and you would not expect that by looking at him.
Sneaky fast.
Yeah. I mean, dude, he moves around very well.
Next game,
Big 12, Iowa State, Oklahoma.
Blowout
For
Oklahoma.
No, I don't see it.
I see a shootout because, once again, it's the Big 12.
I do see a shootout. I agree with you there. It's not going to be a defensive struggle. But I do see Iowa State's coming on top.
All right,
they have,
you know what?
The fact that
okay,
Iowa
Mr.
State,
Lead Dog. I feel like this is our game picks.
The fact that Iowa State, we'll finish off the rest of our game picks later on, but the fact that Iowa State has come all the way back from the trash can of a beginning of the season that they had, and now they're at 6.
But
that
they also
much
lost
momentum,
to a 3-loss Oklahoma State team.
But that much momentum. Oklahoma State at one point was top 10 in the country. So, I mean,
but
they were playing good football.
They still lost 3 games.
I know, but they were playing good football at one point.
I agree.
But Iowa State has so much momentum behind them for me. And really, that's what I'm riding on.
No, I respect that. I do respect that.
Yeah,
because
and I really can't stand Spencer Rattler. So
I don't like Spencer Rattler, but I'm never going to.
But you're still an Oklahoma guy. I get it. I get it. Hunter, what do you think?
I'll when my game picks go.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that.
Pac-12. Are we all consensus on a
Skip
blowout,
it.
but
You
we
skip
won't
it.
say who?
Yeah,
USC
Okay.
by a million.
Sunbelt. I mean, we kind of already
Coastal,
talked about
we
it.
kind of already talked about that.
Yeah.
Coastal
I'll say
beat 'em.
Coastal. That's
And
going
Coastal
to
beat
be
'em
that
early
is
in
going
the
to be
year.
a close game.
Yeah.
But you're right. They do have their number.
And it's hard to
earlier
beat
in
a
the
team
year.
twice, though.
It is very difficult.
That's why
to
I'm
beat a
saying
team twice.
Oklahoma. That's why I'm saying Oklahoma.
It's a good point, but I mean, dude, Coastal. Imagine that the end of that season.
Mm-hmm.
What a run for those guys! And well, I shouldn't say the end of that season. The end of their conference season. They'll definitely have a bowl game. You know what I mean?
100%.
So it'll be interesting to see if they get a Power Five.
What's
in that
really
bowl
going to
game.
suck is
You know what I mean?
they
New
usually
Year's
go with
Six.
the best.
Yeah, that'd be unreal.
Well, I don't think they're going to because they
Yeah.
usually go with the best group of 5 team gets in the Power 5, like Western
Cincinnati.
and UCF.
But
And Cincinnati's sitting there.
Tulsa beats Cincinnati. All of a sudden, that opens the door for a Coastal to get in.
I really think Cincinnati's a top 6 team in the country, though.
I agree. I don't think they're going to lose. I'm just saying theoretically.
If they lose, Cincinnati's going to go from, what are they, 9 to like
Unranked.
17.
Now Tulsa is 23.
No, Tulsa's
so
ranked. That's why.
Tulsa's 23. They won't drop. They won't drop out of the.
They'll get them to like,
They'll definitely drop at least 5 to 10 spots.
they'll drop them one beneath Coastal.
One that would
or one
be,
above.
man.
So Coastal gets in. And
You mean one? Yeah, one beneath. Yeah. But dude, that'd be unreal. Man, I guess we kind of talked about Cincinnati, Tulsa a little bit. Already talked about Buffalo, Ball State. Why don't we just do the rest of our game picks right now before we jump into some National Signing Day talk? What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like for the viewers that make it, they get to enjoy it.
Fine. I like it. I like it. Stick around to hear our game picks. Let's talk a little bit of National Signing Day, why don't we? Huh?
Yeah.
National Signing Day. That was yesterday. We're recording this on Thursday, so it was Wednesday of this week. Let's talk about what teams came out on top of National Signing Day. I know you guys didn't follow it so much.
Blue Bloods.
Neither did I. I don't really care for National Signing Day, seeing all these guys sign. It's cool. It's great for a great experience for them, especially this year was very different because they can't have all these huge events. People are outside in the snow with masks on and these space heaters, and it was pretty funny. But
That's cool, though.
no surprise here. Alabama not only looks to have the best signing class this year so far, early signing day, so not like everybody's already signed, but a majority of the kids who are going to Power 5 schools.
The early enlisters. Are
Exactly,
the ones that
exactly. But they may actually rival the 2010 Florida signing class, who had the highest ranked class in the history of the 24/7 sports database.
That was right after Tebow.
Yep.
Yeah,
So that's riding that wave basically. So then they got all those great
Urban
recruits.
Meyer.
But I mean, we talked about Dave Rayner earlier. How much do those stars really mean?
Nothing.
You know what I mean?
Nothing.
It is-
Nothing
it's
if you're wearing
Alabama,
maize
though.
and blue.
It's Alabama though. You know
Yeah,
what I
if
mean?
you're in red. For some odd reason, every time you're in a red program, like a red colored program,
Oh wow.
Oklahoma, Alabama,
This guy-
Ohio State,
Oklahoma.
Georgia.
That's actually true. Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's
yeah,
see.
the red teams kind of bring it, I guess.
Okay.
They
well,
bring it.
one of those red teams is at number 2, that being Ohio State. LSU is at number 3. Clemson at 4. Should we be looking for LSU to bounce back in a big way this next couple of years? I would assume so.
Especially with that freshman quarterback that played great last week against
That's
Florida.
a great point. He had a great start for them, and it was
we'll see
unreal numbers.
And I really think that when you lose the amount of talent you do, no matter if it was,
Yeah, that senior class was packed. And
Yeah.
lose the number one overall
And
draft pick.
The difference
Joey
between
B.
LSU and Alabama is LSU has not experienced that many times before. They've had guys go to the NFL for sure, a ton of guys, but they've never had that large amount. I don't know if
Exactly.
Alabama has ever had that large of an
if
amount.
you
They
think
set a
about
record.
it, if you think
They set a
about it,
record for most guys drafted.
Alabama's constantly been good.
Yeah.
Like when OBJ and Jarvis and all those studs that we all talk about now, like Tyrann Mathieu,
LSU was,
they had like that one good season, but like LSU was like, 9 to 10 wins, like a Michigan. But then, now it's like we expect LSU to be better because of the foundation that
That's a great
Burrow
point.
and all that.
Yeah, that's a great
But
point.
we got to also remember that a couple guys opted out for LSU. this
Now,
year.
the three of us played against one of the kids that signed early to go play at LSU, that being Garrett Dellinger from Clarkson.
I think he's a beast.
Got to line up against him multiple times. I was like, they put me on like a third down situation to pass rush. Well, guess what? They ran the ball and they ran it to my side. And I won't say I made a business decision and ducked him or anything. I was just trying to hold my ground. That was difficult.
You're making a financial
He was a
decision.
big dude. He's a big dude. He's a talented dude too. Like his ability to move, it's scary. It's borderline scary. Like you see Aaron Donald doing those footwork drills. I mean, obviously he's not to that level or else we'd be talking about him a lot more, but he can move really well for a senior in high school or a guy that's just now getting into college. It's scary, man.
For sure.
Yeah. Another guy we played against in the OAA Red, Donovan Edwards, the number 4 running back in the country, previously at West Bloomfield High School, who churns out all these insane athletes because they recruit
Year in, year out.
who just signed to go play at Michigan.
Kind of a
Easily
shocker, but not.
the most talented guy I've played against.
As
Would
far
you
as
guys,
a skilled position,
yes.
for sure.
Would you guys agree? Who else? Who?
Yeah.
He's also a year older, so
other than Trey Mosley.
Trey Mosley is very good,
And
too.
also,
Trey
what was
Mosley
that one kid?
dominated us that junior year.
Junior year, he had
My junior year,
yeah, he had my senior year. He had 3 catches for 3 touchdowns.
Dude, we
And
were
there
like,
was like 170 yards.
we're up like 14-3.
We
in
were
like
up,
the first.
We were up 21-7 at halftime.
Yeah.
wow.
And then he came back.
And then
like,
Trey Mosley
they were
was like,
oh,
I'm going to turn it on.
We have Trey Mosley. Let's throw him the ball, and they burn our
Mossed.
safeties like that.
It was ridiculous. He's a great talent too at Michigan State. So rival from where
Dog.
Donovan Edwards ended up. But I say that because I'm pretty surprised he's going to play for Harbaugh because he had offers from literally everywhere: Alabama, Georgia,
Blue
Notre
Bloods.
Dame.
He had offers from everywhere. He could go anywhere he wanted.
Over 60 Division I offers.
Yeah,
I heard he
go
was
anywhere he
actually
wanted.
considering Northwood, Northern, and Tech in his Final Four.
Yeah, I think
And
that
then
was. I think
Michigan.
that was actually the final. Somewhere. Yeah.
I heard that too.
But I wanted to talk about him because you mentioned Georgia as one of those guys who always picks up those classes. Georgia looked to be a potential destination for Edwards, who visited Athens twice.
RBU.
And
They are.
that's a great point because they have that legacy
Remember
of doing
Alabama.
that. They wanted to pair him up with another 4-star running back in the 2021 class
Ooh, maybe
to
he
make
didn't
them
like
like some type of duo.
Sound familiar? Chubb and Sony.
Yeah.
Maybe he was like, but maybe Edwards.
Maybe
I
he
want
wants
to
to
be
be
the
the
guy.
dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to be the guy. So I will say that Michigan was his first reported offer, and I'd assume that's why the connection with U of M was so strong.
Plus Bellamy being a Michigan.
Bellamy is a big Michigan guy, and he's got teammates that we played against just last year.
McCarry.
Wheeler. Yep, Wheeler's there as well. So some great talent that we've seen playing there, and I'm assuming that had a huge
Had
pull
to
on
be
him.
it.
But
Had to be.
I wonder if that really was it. Like maybe I want to be the guy. You know what I mean? If you're that talented,
And it
you
sounds
say
like
that.
to
You
be
can
the
say
guy.
that.
You deserve
Yeah.
to be the guy.
I saw a quote, I think, that it sounds like he wants to be one of the guys, him and McCarthy, that bring Michigan back.
Interesting. JJ from he was IMG this year, but he was at where was he at before that? I don't
I
remember.
think in Indiana or something.
Yeah, but he wants to bring Michigan back, huh?
Yeah.
Well, they got their work cut out for them, don't they?
As long as they play Ohio State every year, yeah.
That's true. That's very true. Well, let's get
To the moment you've all been waiting for.
everybody's been waiting for our game picks for this week.
Oh yeah, game picks. Oh, the moment you guys all have been waiting for. So we're gonna go since Drew is
I feel like Clemson,
the lead dog.
I feel like Clemson and Notre Dame. Save that for the last college pick.
All right, so lead dog. I'll let you. You're gonna get picked
8-1
first every
2-0
time.
the week before, but we're not
We
counting.
Yeah.
we're starting to count now.
Yeah.
So we'll keep the tallies in here. Right now, you're 8-1.
Lead dog goes first.
5-4. So we're gonna start off.
You're 4-5. I'm 5-4. Thanks.
Yep. Anyway, let me do my thing. Crimson Tide Gators SEC Championship 1 versus 11. Drew.
I thought Florida was 7.
I think they are.
Oh, typo. Whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna
Sorry.
go
It's all right.
completely a little different than you guys. I feel like you guys are thinking Alabama, maybe 2 touchdowns.
Oh yeah, Bama by 1 million.
No, I think Florida keeps it really close, but I'm gonna still go with Alabama.
Oh well, that's all that matters.
That doesn't matter.
Hunter, are you on the same train of thought there?
Alabama clean sweep.
Earth to Chambers.
Okay, Gators is 7. Yeah,
There you go.
I was making check. Yeah, Tide. I'm saying Tide.
Clean sweep, Alabama.
How about this one? Sooners, Iowa State. Ride with Oklahoma here?
Always.
Okay.
You know,
There
I
you
feel
go. That's
like
all I needed to hear.
I feel like their offense is gonna. There's the one thing that I've noticed about Oklahoma.
Congrats. We're going to get a game up on this guy.
Oh. You know what? I can't wait for me to pull up this clip later.
If you do that, hey,
Oklahoma.
Next game picks, we'll take that clip and put it in the gray and white, like a little flashback. We'll do it. If it wins.
Oklahoma will beat
Not happening.
Ohio State. Oklahoma will beat Iowa State, and it won't be close. That's my prediction.
I can't wait to use that clip.
I'm taking Iowa State because I know the Sooners don't have a defense. And I know that's a fact, so I'm taking
won
Iowa State by at least 14.
5 straight Big
At
12
least 14.
Now,
titles.
what should the over-under,
6.
just between us, what should the over-under be for this game?
42 and a half.
42 and a half.
Oh, 52 and a half. 52 and a half.
I was going to say at least like 55.
Yeah, I'd say I would
60. I would even go
whatever
like
the
60.
Vegas
Oklahoma
odds-
puts 40 on them.
I was
whatever
going to
the-
say I'd put up like 60, 70
whatever the
range.
Vegas odds are, I would bet the over if I bet.
Yeah, I would agree.
All
Like
right.
I think anyone who knows football would do that.
And
But
here comes another clean sweep.
Big Ten championship, Ohio State, Northwestern, Buckeyes.
So let's talk about why Ohio State wins.
Okay.
Justin Fields.
I was going to say.
I would not say Justin
I was
Fields.
going to say the defense.
I would say their defense as well, and I would say just their will to physically impose themselves onto another team. I don't think Northwestern's ready for that.
So you think
And
it's going to
Ryan
be a
Day's
defensive
back.
game?
And Ryan Day is back.
And Master T is just going to run
I don't
it
think
up.
it's going to be.
No, I don't think it's.
I think it will be a defensive game compared to some of the other conferences, being that it is Big Ten, and supposedly, Big Ten does pride itself on, playing
Defense.
some good defensive games. Not saying that it's going to be low scoring. I do think it's going to be a defensive game because Northwestern's defense is their strong point. Getting turnovers is their strong point. So I say that because defense will determine who wins and by how large of a margin that they win.
Okay, I agree.
Well said. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad.
All right, I feel like this next one's going to be a clean sweep too.
Notre Dame versus Clemson. We got to go back to that.
Yeah, T-Law, he's playing. ETN's going to be the difference maker. T-Law's best player on the field. Every time he touches the field in college, they'll win.
I'm really rooting for ETN to have a great day. But Hunter, let me hear what you have to say.
So I'm rooting for Ian Book to just go crazy and Notre Dame just have the game of their lives. But I am going to bet Clemson, and I'm going to pick Clemson because, once again, Trevor Lawrence is the best football player in college football. And with him back, like what they did with Uga Tagala, blah, blah, blah.
Uyangalele.
DJ.
Ugangalele last time, and they was so close. With Trevor, I think they just have that next step. I think it may be a 2-score victory for Clemson.
Really?
Yeah, he'll
Two-score.
make plays.
You know what?
with
I
his
find
legs.
myself
Ian
really
Book will make plays, but he is not Trevor Lawrence.
I find myself really wanting to pick Notre Dame here. I don't know.
I find that,
But
like
you
I said,
won't.
if Ian Book has a great game, like if I lose this one,
The
picking
dude's been
Clemson,
there for 20 years, so I mean,
this is like
he's gonna come and perform. He's a fifth-year guy, easily, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So, man, I feel bad, but I'm gonna take Clemson too.
Yeah.
I think Trevor.
If I
Lawrence,
lose
the
this
addition
one,
of him,
I'm okay with that.
well, we're all gonna freaking lose.
yeah.
We don't have much variance today.
No, I feel like the NFL might be a little different, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you start us off then here?
Is that first one?
Lions versus Titans, Mister. Oh, what's your
Packers Panthers Saturday
Packers,
night.
Panthers.
Oh,
Packers Panthers Saturday night game. We're getting into that that time of the year where Saturday
Well, that was
night
first on our list.
NFL games. Love it. I love Saturday night NFL
Christian
games.
McCaffrey screwed my fantasy team again by not playing. Honestly, dude,
Enough of the fantasy.
stop. Won't matter anyway. Packers are going to blow them out now.
Yeah.
I really want to pick the Panthers, but Packers.
Packers as well. All right.
sweep.
Wow. Interesting. Very interesting.
we
Lions
go.
Titans.
I will never
This
pick
game-
against the Lions.
Unless it's my second team with my boys, the Titans. Give Derrick Henry the damn ball.
Did say that last week. This is in
Did say that last
Tennessee.
week.
Titans.
Exactly. They have fans. Titans by 21.
Yeah, Titans by 21.
Titans
This
by
sucks.
21.
Derrick Henry's going to have a day.
It's gonna have a day.
Come on.
Day.
Come on, believe.
I think I want to.
I do.
I want to.
You want to?
Well,
you want to do
is
it?
Is Stafford coming back? Do we know?
We don't know. We don't know yet.
And just because
Here comes
of
this
that,
consensus of the week. You did it with Daniel Jones. You can do it again.
no, just because of that, I can't take the Lions. I'll take the Titans. If Stafford is back and healthy, and we feel confident with him moving forward, I'm not putting my faith into Chase Daniel.
Okay.
We'll just put it that way.
Yep.
Patriots.
These next four is where it's going to get
Patriots. Finns. I'm assuming Dolphins there.
No.
Who are the Finns?
Yeah, well, it is the Dolphins.
Fins. Dolphins.
Oh, okay. Why you say no? I was
No,
like, yeah.
I thought you said.
Oh, yeah. Dolphins. Easy.
Sorry, I'll type it out for you next time, big
Yeah,
guy.
thank you. I can't.
We'll type out this one. Patriots win.
I like
Oh,
that.
that's cold.
But once again, you got to think the past 2 years, the Patriots haven't swept the Dolphins, and they
know.
already beat them this year.
I know.
The miracle.
But I really think that Bill, after that brutal loss,
Is
has
just
a
gonna
chip
turn
on
it
his
around.
shoulder,
again.
and he's like,
I
I
will
looks
say-
at his son with the mullet.
wow,
The
yeah.
Dolphins
Looks at his
don't
son with the
have-
mullet and is like,
Steve,
we need to win this game.
Steve, this is our
The
game.
Dolphins do not have the offensive firepower of the Chargers. I will say that. They don't have the raw
you mean
potential
the
that they
Rams?
do. Or the Rams, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. That
Agreed,
was
agreed.
that was a couple weeks ago, the Chargers. Right?
Yeah, they
Rams.
beat
Yeah.
the Chargers.
Last
They had
week
2 games
lost,
in LA.
Last week they lost to
The Rams. Cam Akers
Yep.
had.
Yeah, that was a big day for
And
the
that was
Packers.
another thing, too. I think the Patriots win because who's the lead back while Miles
Damian
Gaskin's
Harris.
out?
Oh, Miles Gaskin's out. It's like some Denard Washington.
Exactly.
Hmm.
I
hammer
don't
the
think
football.
Tua's going to beat Stephon
Interesting.
Gilmore and J.C. Jackson.
I think their defense is going to beat up on the Patriots. That's what I think.
All right, I think it's a defensive battle. I'm taking the Patriots because Cam's more proven than Tua. And I'm a
Interesting.
little biased because I like Cam.
Yeah, so you're a big Cam Newton guy there. I said Dolphins.
I'm going to take the Patriots too.
Oh,
Good for you guys.
I was going to say Belichick hates losing back-to-back games.
He does.
It doesn't
indeed.
happen.
He does indeed.
It doesn't
He's gonna
happen.
we know he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that does not
yeah,
happen.
for sure.
Seahawks, Washington. This is a lot more interesting
I feel like you're leaning Washington.
than I think.
Like I said, the Washington football team, the
Is Alex Smith
R
back?
word
I think he there.
used to be the Washington R word used to be my team. So, I'm sticking with Washington.
All right. Because of
and
that.
Gibson may be back. And if Gibson is back, Washington all the way.
That's
if
RB1.
Smith is back.
Yeah, it is.
If Smith is back, I really like them because, I'm not going to trust Dwayne Haskins from the ball. But I still like Washington. Seattle has been looking very rough these last couple weeks.
So I will say Seattle has been very rough. They've had some tough losses, one of which was to that Giants team, right, who looked terrible.
Well, they
against the
beat the
Cardinals.
Jets 40-3, so.
That's true. So they bounced back, I guess, week, right?
Yeah, it's the
so,
Jets.
Yeah, so
Knock on wood.
Washington optimistic Alex Smith can play versus Seahawks. Plan leading up to Week 15 revealed. That's one thing that
What does it
says
say
here,
about Gibson?
headline. Alex Smith feels, quote, all right, but uncertain if he can play Sunday.
I think you will.
You think so?
Doesn't matter. Russell Wilson.
Dude, I don't know.
DK.
I really don't know, man. I don't. If
Too many weapons on that
if
offense.
he's not there and with their running back out, I don't know if they have the weapons to really,
compete.
Exactly.
Who, Washington?
I have zero faith in Dwayne Haskins. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
none.
I have zero faith in him.
None.
And that's coming from an outsider. I don't have any invested interest in
I'll
this team.
sprinkle some faith in. Just
Some
a little
faith?
bit.
Okay.
First round pick.
Alex Smith did not practice
So was Josh
yesterday
Rosen.
on Wednesday.
Okay, once again, I'm just saying, Dwayne Haskins, I have a couple. He won 3 games last year. Give him some
Hey,
respect.
Colt McCoy did beat the Seahawks. Anything can happen.
Boom.
Dang.
But
At
the Seahawks,
Seattle.
Did you guys
Seahawks
hear me?
will win.
Alex Smith did not practice yesterday, Wednesday, and Haskins has been taking the first team.
I heard he
reps.
practiced today, though.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, I'm taking Washington.
Seattle.
Seattle. All right.
Yeah.
Chiefs Saints.
Ooh.
Chiefs.
Big
Saints. Wow.
Game
Now
of
is
the week.
Breeze?
Drew Brees may be back this week.
Yeah, we don't
think
know,
so.
do
We
we?
don't know, though. Sean Payne was optimistic that he can play, but when Drew talked to the
Chiefs.
media, he wasn't planning on playing. So
Chiefs.
Sean was optimistic, but once again,
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Chiefs the best team in football. Chiefs.
Yep.
Yeah, Taysom Hill is not going to be able to. I mean,
I love Taysom Hill.
I'm a huge advocate for him. Drew hates it, but I was raving
You don't
about
like
him
Taysom
last
Hill?
week.
I don't mind.
It's not that he
Taysom
doesn't
Hill,
like
but it's
him,
just
he just-
I feel like he's in the best system besides Kansas City,
Which is a great
which
point.
is really hard for a quarterback to not succeed.
Really
when you
good
have
point.
a top 5 running back.
You could
and
put,
top 5 receiver.
Kendall Hinton in the.
That's a stretch. But I feel like Tebow, if Tebow had Sean Payton and those guys, I feel like Tebow would have done as good as
You'd
Taysom
have them
Hill.
boys praying before the game
Oh,
and then
yeah,
running
come
through
on.
a wall.
Or even
I'd run through a wall for that
Give
man.
me-
Oh,
Give
so
me
would
a-
I, no doubt.
give me a quarterback that's
Dwayne
Dwayne
Haskins.
Haskins.
Well, Dwayne Haskins, I feel like could ball in
Yeah.
New Orleans offense.
Ron Rivera.
We're all Chiefs, though.
They're all Chiefs.
Last pick of the day. Now,
You're gonna hate
Browns,
this.
This one won't be close.
You're going to hate
though.
this.
Browns versus G-Men. That's the Giants.
Can you give
Yep.
the little information we gained today?
Oh, yeah. The Freddie Kitchens, who will be calling the plays for New York because
Jason
of
Garrett out with COVID.
Jason Garrett and how he was infected.
This one's not going to be close. I really think
Taking the Browns. Dude, the Giants already let me down. That was my upset pick against you, too, against the, what was that, the Cardinals?
yeah.
Yeah, that was my upset pick, and they really let me down. They got blown out.
And you're probably going to go with the Giants. That's your choice. I think the fact that Freddie's going to be playing, obviously Baker's
Baker's going to be pissed.
Baker Chubb and all those guys aren't going to come out and be like, yeah, Freddie's playing. We're going to be even more pissed. You know, like Jarvis came out about Marcus Peters. But, something that maybe Josh Allen did where he was like, they can do all the dancing.
Juju.
It's
By the
going to
way,
be one
Juju
of
said he's not stopping dancing. I'm not even going to give that the time of day because I can't.
Whatever.
It makes me mad.
Just about Juju, the more and more throughout the season, I just hate Juju.
I feel like
I wouldn't say I hate him.
he's,
I've lost respect for him.
yeah.
I've lost a lot of respect
lost
for Juju.
a lot of
man.
fans. I feel like he was a cool guy.
Oh, he was. He's very
I feel like he
relatable.
still is, but at
You
the
know,
same
do your
time,
TikToks, do your fun thing, whatever. I don't care. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
Like,
the
that's
logo.
cool. That's just disrespectful.
he was even gonna when after he scored a touchdown was gonna go do it
Do
on
the-
Stars,
on the Cowboys.
Who does that? Like T.O. did that? Who was
Yeah,
that?
T.O. did
Yeah,
that.
T.O. did that.
but they stopped him anyway.
Imagine if
Hunter,
you broke out
what's
a-
your pick here? We're both Browns here.
I really want to go Giants, but I'm going to go Browns.
Yeah,
Just because.
As an honorary member of the Dog Pound, I got to go with the Browns.
I just really feel like they're gonna come out a normal Browns team, maybe even last year's Browns team, actually. After a tough loss, would be like, oh, we suck. I just feel like Baker shaved, everyone
Did shave. He looked like he
looks-
painted on his little 5 o'clock shadow.
My dad even goes, how'd he do that?
Clean, man. It was like ridiculously clean. Like,
Anyway.
he lined it up right before that
Yeah,
press conference.
I just feel like they're hungry for that playoff spot.
Let's
and-
go, Brownies.
Ooh,
Here we go,
Brownies.
Brownies. my
Oh,
man. Come
Brownies?
on.
I messed it up.
Brownies?
They do say brownies, though.
We should end on that.
Your mom should make brownies. Hey, shout out Mama Manzo. Shout out Mama Manzo.
Thank you for that.
Mandalorian tomorrow. I don't know if any of you guys are big fans. Us three are.
Yeah, we'll be watching.
Hey, how about a little Mandalorian special pick? Who's the Jedi? Or you can say there won't be a Jedi that shows up.
I'm going to go Luke Skywalker.
Ooh.
I believe it. I think the timeline shows up. We're not going to spend too much time on it. I think the timeline lines up. He's out here looking. At this time, he's trying to make his new Jedi Academy.
Yep.
He's looking for these guys. He saw, Grogu through the seeing zone. That's it.
I would love for that to happen.
No Jedi in final episode.
No Ezra. You were an Ezra guy.
I'm a huge Ezra guy, but I'm saying no. They're going to wait till season 3. No Jedi in this episode.
After rewatching Rebels.
I would love to see Ahsoka again, but I don't think we're going to see her either.
I doubt it, too. That's going to be her own thing with
I watched Rebels. I really think it's going to be Ezra because I just feel like they're going to do that one thing where you don't.
Now?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, good for you.
You don't know it's Ezra, and then he's like, "Hi, I'm Ezra Bridger," because you're not going to know what he looks like.
That's true. Well,
but I just feel like that's going to happen.
Anyways, enough Star Wars. We'll keep that for another time. But thank you so much for making it this far, Hunter.
Congrats, guys. I'll keep it short today. Tune in next week.
Yeah. Tune in next week for some more great conversation. Got some great guests coming up on next Tuesday. Looking to have another coach from Northern Michigan University as well, or our first coach from Northern Michigan University, as well as the quarterback from Northern Iowa. So some big-time guests for next week. Stay tuned and have a great weekend. Watch some great football.